Welcome into Polymuse. I'm your cousin that gives the best hugs and makes you smile. And this is the cousin Ben.
I'm the other cousin. I must give subpar hugs, apparently. I've never been known for that, but I am known as the other half of the Polymuse duo. Music lover, music expert, music fighter, music lover, fighter, hater. The best version of the second half of the Polymuse coin, and the other half, as has been stated to you already. Kicking it back to you, Michael. Tell them what we're doing on this episode of this experience.
We're continuing our march, our spin through Toxicity, the second album by System of a Down. We covered previously the first two tracks, Needles and Prison Song. Today we're jumping in on the Dance of the Deer, Deer Dance, and Jet Pilot. Deer Dance was inspired by a number of different events, circumventing circuses, lament and protest to visible police protests, sponsored fear, battalions of riot police with rubber bullet kisses, baton courtesy service with a smile. That touches on the 2000 Democratic National Convention protests. Protesters were shot with rubber bullets. Beyond the Staples Center, you can see America with its tired, poor, avenging disgrace, peaceful, loving youth against the brutality of plastic existence. A chorus brought to you by a riot at the 2000 Rage Against the Machine concert at the Staples Center, which also talked about how the area around the Staples Center was not as in good condition as, the center of the community, that Staples Center, and was more impoverished in the area around it. It very much touches on police brutality, protesting, how protesters are dealt with, pushing little children with their fully automatics. They like to push the weak around. Memorable lyric. That speaks to the police brutality and protests. So very much a protest song. It could speak to the recruitment of folks to the military or fighting against police brutality, fighting against the government, protest in general. So specific lines relate to specific events and riots and protest. Very much a protest song here, Deer Dance.
And deer are dumb. So if they're dancing, it's probably because they're dancing when you're pointing guns at them. So is that what we're talking about here? It's like
dancing in the line of
dance
fire.
For me. Like you pointing a gun at their feet like cowboy. I mean, know, I'm taking it to a cartoonish level. I know they're talking about real protests and real violence that happened to real people. They take it to such a crazy cartoonish place where, again, it's like, what's the metaphor? What's the politics? What really happened? So like over the top and crazy. This song is very memorable, very powerful. The push the little children with the fully automatics, that sticks with you. That's dark. It sticks out even from some of the zanier stuff that's going on. It's just like, I always thought this was about Armenia. That part always just made me think about, it must be about the genocide. But I guess they're talking about more modern stuff that happened more in their lifetime as well, like right in America, and the police responses to that.
And you can, again, attribute different portions to different events as well. They do specifically mention the Staples Center in one portion, but that's about it as far as specific places or imagery within the song to link to specific events. So you could tie it to other things as well, which is what, we love about music in general, but also System of a Down. Unless you're deep diving into other material, you wouldn't necessarily know what they were relating it to. So it very much allows you to open it up to other specific events and tie it to different things that you feel appropriate.
This song is heavy. It just pounds. The riff is insane. It seems even lower and heavier than some of the other ones. We've again got the beautiful, beautiful bridge sections that they always write where they break it back down and then ramp it back up, ramp it back up, ramp it back up. There's a lot to this song. The bridge section got the kind of acoustic instruments, making it sound more folk-like, making it sound more like the Armenian influence. Like you really got that in this one, and then you've really got just like menacing, pounding heavy metal in this one. I think Darren and Serge both sing again together. They seem to be doing dual vocals on most of the songs so far, and they sound phenomenal together. They play great on this. They just take you through the different sections. The whole thing just feels like a piece of like classical music where it just ebbs and flows, and you just know the next riff that's gonna hit, that's gonna come and get you. And that's the caliber of songwriting and music that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, when we have the nice little bridge kind of guitar interlude-ish area as well, and we have vocal contrast in there where we have the dressed in black whisper section from Surge as well, so we have that nice interlude as well between the crashing guitars and instrumental. That's a nice piece to have in there as well.
Let's hit him with it. We've described it enough. Polymuse Radio for you. This is Deer Dance. Terrific song by System of a Down.
How about that ending? That's pretty sharp, pretty tight, pretty pounding. Really gets you going, huh?
Dude, they play like every rhythm possible in this. The beginning is just like herky-jerky, like really staccato, tappy-tappy rhythms with like, but it's also bouncy at the same time. And then by the end, it's just like the craziest, like up and down, sludgy mosh pit rhythm. They take you on a journey with this thing. Holy cow.
Yeah, I love, again, the tongue twister lyrics at the beginning, what they're able to do lyrically through the whole song, what they're able to do instrumentally, the duetting, the bridge. I love this track. What is your grade for Deer?
I could not give it the S. It was a contender. It was a contender. I was always fond of it as a kid. I give it an A. I think it's terrific. I don't think it is the greatest piece of music they ever put together. It was close, man. I considered an S, but I give it an A. Deer Dance gets an A from me.
I gave Deer Dance an S.
Dang.
I S'd this sucker out.
Dang.
It's on my best mixtape.
Ooh.
It's on there. Deer Dance.
That's a good one to have on there.
Yeah. And it provides a nice interlude right into the next track, Jet Pilot, which immediately, from not even a second in, comes pounding in. So we go right from Deer Dance to Jet Pilot if you're listening to them consecutively, right off the rip. Great transition.
So that's the next song, Jet Pilot. What should we say for them to set the stage? You're right, it's a very pounding track. Is this song about nothing?
It's about nothing.
Is it about like a jet pilot, like a guy, like a bomber, like somebody who's wide were the eyes of the horse of the jet pilot when he smiled when he flew over the bay? But that's all he says. Is that the only thing they say a couple more things in the song?
Yeah.
But
There's been speculation about a lot of different things and metaphors. You know, maybe the horse is a plane. Could be about the growth of technology. Maybe carpet bombing in other countries. Lots of different parallels. But System of a Down's pretty much come out and said, this is no real meaning to anything.
I remember being confused about it as a kid. And I remember specifically asking you because you were older and you said that it was about a guy who looked like a horse.
No,
and
did I say that?
That's what you said. You're like, no, the guy, pilot is a guy. He looks like a horse. So they tell him, and everyone knows that. He's like the horse guy. So, and so I'm imagining like BoJack Horseman flying.
Yeah, there you go. That's who it is.
Which is...
Did you believe me at the time?
No, I knew you were wrong, but I remember you being like, yeah, I think I know it. I remember being confused when we were at that.
Clearly, the only one.
I had further questions.
Oh my god!
I had further follow-up participatory queries.
Right. Let's. Oh my god!
This was part of the songs we had as kids.
You were holding on to that.
This was part of. Well, I knew. I think about it whenever I hear the song.
I don't remember that at all.
It's like, yeah, I remember not knowing what the hell this song was about and being like, Michael might know. He's older. Like, what do you think this is about? Being like, well,
oh my god,
guy looks like a horse.
Okay,
it's a guy, but
let's tackle this real quick.
Yeah, do you want to hear the song, guys?
Yeah, just play the track.
His horse is a shackled old man.
Yeah, see, I stand by my original Proclaim It when we were like
that's not
12
the same
and 10.
Thing. So he's think about it again though. His horse is a man.
Shackled old man.
Mm-hmm. That's weird. The whole thing's weird.
Yeah.
It's about it has to be. It's not about nothing. This is like the mystery of our generation.
Okay. Wired were the eyes of a horse on a jet pilot, one that smiled when he flew over the bay. Wired were the eyes of a horse on a jet pilot, one that smiled when he flew over the bay.
I'm reading the lyrics here.
Yeah. Could be technology, right? Airplane, flying, advancement. Now you tell me what the hell the rest means to you.
His horse is a man, and his remorse was that he could not
be a plane.
My horse. But the horse and the remorse fly. It's just about a guy who looks like a horse.
Yeah, see? Look, you doubted me.
I didn't read the lyrics for myself until just now. We solved it, guys. Somebody create a BoJack Horseman music video for this. There must be a way to do it. This song rocks, dude. The drumming is phenomenal. The depth, just how deep the guitars sound is amazing. This is really thrashy. This is really like back and forth, just slam from wall to wall. Verses are a lot chiller, more of that choppy kind of oompa polka beat. Mix it up a lot. And then when they do the flying over a great bay, just drop out. It's just perfect.
Yeah.
Great playing. Great performance.
So what is your grade for Jet Pilot?
I wrote something else down, but I'm going to give Jet Pilot an A. This just rocks. This blows your head off.
I'm going to give it a C+. There are elements that you discussed that are great, but also I like to have some kind of substance. And it's actually not one that I'd replay a whole lot. It's nice that it's crashing, but we don't have a whole lot of different vocal elements that we usually do. We don't have duets. And it's not, again, a lot of System of a Down has either really deep meaning or sometimes whatever the hell this is, just a hobgob of nothing. And sometimes some of the more, it's just not what I think of when I think of System of a Down. I'll give it a C.
So regardless of what the Jet Pilot truly means, it was no doubt enough to scare Clear Channel from banning this song and others from being played on the radio. Post 9/11, there were quite a few songs that were deemed inappropriate to play on the radio because they might remind people of 9/11 and make them upset.
Yeah, Clear Channel owned over 1,100 radio stations nationwide.
They own them all.
Yeah, and they banned 164 songs originally from airwaves post 9/11 due to sensitive content. Chop Suey was on that list. A number of other tracks, Jet Pilot, ATWA had issues as well. And I'm sure other, whether it was regional or national broadcasts, were cutting songs as well that they thought might be questionable. So Jet Pilot was certainly one of those on that list.
It was an interesting time. This list is so goofy too because there's songs on the list. It was anything that might remind you of anything related. So there's like Crash Down, like any lyric that is Fly Away or anything like that.
There's a handful of Beatles songs on this list.
Which ones?
We have Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
In the Sky. Yeah, see how vague it is? Like it has nothing to do with a plane crash. It's just in the sky.
Ticket to Ride, A Day in the Life, and Billy Joel, Only the Good Die Young.
Though just death in general we can't discuss because it might upset.
David Matthews Band, Crash Into Me.
That one though, yeah, Crash Into Me.
Foo Fighters, Learn to Fly. So
it was a weird time.
Yeah, certainly was. So
they banned, speaking of band, and let's transition in. Around this time, you know what we were doing? Watching Toonami.
No.
They banned the Lord Slug movie from Toonami for the same reason as all that. Because the whole movie is like, blow up the world, blow up the world.
Yeah.
So they didn't show the dang movies. And then they gave you 2 episodes of Dragon Ball instead of an episode of Ball and an episode of Z.
Frustrating.
They didn't want to remind you about violence.
Yeah.
And about blow up the world.
Well, and I'm sure it hurt, movies at that time. It certainly hurt this album. It took a while for them to get back on the radio and get some recognition. It hurt the album originally, when dropping a week before 9/11 and getting your top single banned, and obviously not having other singles released until months later. It certainly hurt. It was just a devastating event, that obviously caused ripple effects down the line on a much lesser scale. Not too different than what we're going through now and worldwide. So with the pandemic and what that's causing to different industries. But certainly an interesting look back from a musical perspective and what that did to songs at the time, how those songs are, looked at now. And it's not necessarily remembered that they were part of that list.
Right.
But in the context that a lot of these were taken off the radio. Third Eye Blind Jumper was another one that was taken off. Tom Petty, Free Fallin'. That context is just,
it's just silly though. No one would think that about any of these songs.
Yeah.
Unless they were trying to like make a controversy out of it.
It just very much puts in a context the fear at the time and how locked down we were. It was also, again, very early internet times. We had the Y2K scare again in 2000, 1 year before 9/11.
Yep.
Everyone thought their computers would just stop working when we rolled over from 99 to 2000. We weren't sure what was going to happen.
They kept working.
So just very strange times that, of course, affected the band we're talking about here, System of a Down, but they eventually hit that #1 spot on the Billboard. Chop Suey did just fine. Plenty of controversy with that song in the meeting. Anyways, we'll hit that in a couple episodes. Jet Pilot's still about not a whole lot as far as we can distinguish. I stick by with my Horseman.
You wrote in your notes another interpretation here. Let me see what you put down. The horse is a metaphor for old-time transportation and was replaced by the plane.
Yeah.
See, so you
could be fan theories.
You always have fan theories. I knew you would have something better than he looked like a horse.
Well, I hate to borrow too many, fan theories without always being able to directly attribute. But yes, that was certainly one of the ones floating out there.
Oh, you took that theory from someone else.
Well, I mean, that's certainly something that can be garnered blatantly from the lyrics. I think, the eyes, what are they here? Let me pull them up.
We're still talking about the stupid horse song. It's good. It's memorable. You never forget that horse when he flew over the bay.
Wired were the eyes of a horse in a jet pilot when it smiled when he flew over the bay. Whether the eyes are the front of the plane or whatever.
It's like a Mother Goose rhyme. It's got like that same pattern to it. Like wide were the eyes of the hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. You know what I mean? And we think it's nonsense, but it's not. They were like really criticizing specific. Like I don't know that particular one, but I know that the Mother Goose stuff, you think it's not like Ring Around a Rosie, all this kind of stuff. There's real meaning behind it. That's what Jet Pilot is. They're Mother Goose now.
Could have been the intent for something else, and maybe just never quite got there.
Oh, they got there. This is Jet Pilot. This is exactly how they intended it to be presented to the world. We'll figure it out someday. The mystery of the Jet Pilot will be solved by the Polymuse, by the Hardy Boys here on the Polymuse Mystery Hour. We'll talk to you again someday.
Okay. Yes, we will.
Not today. No, today. We'll talk to you today.